afternoon, guys. Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is not going to be putting stuff onto the new motor like I thought. Today's video is going to be damage control here on the truck. And what I mean by that is hub assembly went out on the truck. Now, before we even get into this, driver's side hub assembly went out. Before we run down to the comments and make some comment about the lift kit and the wheels and tires, I know that that's the reason that the hub assemblies go out. So before you even run down to the comments and say that, I know that this is going to happen, and it was coming anyway. We did the passenger side when we lifted the truck. If you've been a subscriber on here for a long time, you know it didn't really feel good when we had it in the air and we were lifting it, so I replaced it. But this one I replaced about 3 years ago, and it's got about 50 to 60,000 miles on it. So that's actually pretty good miles out of lifted and that much offset in tire wheel and size. So I'm not upset about having to replace it. Now what we're going to be I thought I had that unlocked. Well, if you see in there's the Moog hub assembly, and that's what we're going to be replacing it with today. We're also going to be putting in a new CV axle up here, and I was just kind of waiting for a chance when I was going to be working on it. But you see there's the boot all torn in that one. And what we're going to try to do is I actually have an axle out of this generation Silverado. This is a 2011. According to forums and other people, they work and they're a little bit longer, and it kind of takes the stress off of them, and they don't seem to rip as easy and stuff like that. So we're going to give that a shot and see if that's actually the case and that actually works, and that would be interesting if it does, and that could potentially help some people out. But anyway, without further ado, we're going to get this thing to the garage, get it to my buddy's garage, put it up on a lift, and I'll pick back up the camera and show you guys the damage and what all we're going to be doing today. Alrighty guys, so we got it here up on the lift, and you can see the wonderful carnage that's ensued on the CV axle there. And I was wiggling it around, and there was way too much play in this hub. I mean, it wasn't, you know, truck race worthy, but it was pretty scary. It was way too much movement. So if you're unfamiliar, let me get that light back so you guys can see here. If you're not familiar with how you go about doing this, of course, caliper, rotor, all that, there's your axle nut. We got to get that out. Hub assembly is held in by the 3 bolts back here in the back, and I'll show you so you can see one right down in there, another one up there on the top. Knock the upper control arm out here out of the way, and we got to do ball joints now. I was in here looking at it, so it's pretty worn out. I mean, they weren't new when we lifted it, and we've got about 30,000 on the, no, not 30,000, about 20,000 on the lift. So this is, me and my buddy were talking about what we were going to do, if we're going to, different control arms, bigger spindle or something, but we're going to try to fix this because this is a mess. I mean, I didn't know how it was going to hold up, and I mean, it's messed everything up. It's a disaster. The ball joints look like ass, and I don't know what this is a talk for another video, but we're going to figure something out about this whole setup here. And of course, we're putting a new motor in it, so we need to figure out something. We can't be running with it like this. This is dangerous. This is not good. But today, like I said, we're going to pull this hub assembly out, put a new axle in it. So I'm going to go ahead and get all this junk out of the way here, and I'll pick back up the camera and show you guys progress. Alrighty guys, so here is the old hub assembly, and it is out. Listen to that. Yeah, that's not good. That's pretty bad. Here's the old axle. I need to go ahead and get this thing out of here. So I need to get all those bolts out of here and get rid of this ugly thing. But that's awful. That sounds terrible. So I'm glad that we are replacing it. It was definitely bad, but yeah, I don't know how much longer that had. That sounds terrible. So like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and loosen up these bolts and pull this axle out and put the new one in here, and I'll pick back up the camera and show you guys once I do that. Alright, so there's the old CV axle all torn to pieces. So that is junk. what I was saying about that new axle is it was out of a newer generation Silverado, and my understanding is they're just a little bit longer. And apparently, so what you need when your suspension is traveling, this is going to move in and out. And the problem is the reason these are tearing up so bad is because when they're lifted, it's almost all the way out, and it doesn't give a lot of room for this to go travel in and out. So these new ones are longer, so it would push it in about right there where it's back where it's supposed to be, and it would give it all this room for travel in and out. And that's one of the biggest reasons I'm tearing through these things. So we're hoping that this new one will fix that, and I think that it will. It makes sense, but we'll see if it all bolts up right. It don't have any problems. So that's going to be the first step, is I'm going to put that new one in here. Hey, and of course we have to put the spacer on that you get with the lift kit, so it'll work. But I'm going to go ahead and put that one in here and see if everything lines up right and if it actually works. Alright, so this was a classic example of reasons to not listen to the internet. A couple problems here. First, it's way longer. It's not a little bit longer, it's way longer. I mean, I almost don't even need the spacer, it's so long. But the problem if I don't do that is then we'd still be too stretched out. The next problem is it's way too big to go through the spindle like it's supposed to set, and that's not going to work. The hub assembly will slide up on it, but it's not going to work. So I trashed that idea. We'll have to figure something else out, but I've got somebody bringing me a factory axle for the right year here. So, I mean, it was worth a shot. At least I figured out that that's not going to work. So if you've ever heard that, that's not true. It won't work. So anyway, that's not going to work. I got to wait for this new CV axle, and once it gets here, I'll go ahead and start putting it all back together. Alrighty, guys. So there's the new axle. I had to go get, like I said, the correct one. So there it is. New hub assemblies in here. Brakes are back on. New ABS wire. And it's all set and ready to roll. So it should be a whole lot quieter, so we're not having that hub assembly growling and, you know, creaking and all that up here. And, you know, in order to fit 35s, I've had to have the keys up, you know, a little bit. I mean, they're not all the way up, so there's a good bit of bolts sticking out of them, but I turned them down a half turn, and we might get a little bit of rub because of it, but we're going to try to take a little bit of stress off all this right here. And there's no need for it to be that high right now. You know, show season's over. It's not like I'm trying to, you know, show it off. So I need it to ride better. I need all this to be in a better geometry all around right here. But hub assembly, Moog, you know, CarQuest axle. I didn't really want a CarQuest axle, but it's all they had, and I already had the truck torn apart, so that's what I had to put in here. But there it is already. All that's left is put the wheel back on it, and that's gonna be the end of it. So I mean, next video we'll be building the 5.3 the rest of the way, and we'll be back in the shop putting the new motor in. So really excited. Stay tuned for that. Like I said, go follow me. Like I always say, you can follow me over on Instagram at Austin04_Z71. Go down to the comment section if you got any questions. Hit me up in the DMs on Insta. Go check out the other videos on the channel. Stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button. Like I said, we got that motor build coming up when we putting the heads and all the top end back together, and we'll be putting that brand new LM7 in this truck. So thanks again for watching. Take care. Have a great day.